The reason Costas can do it is because his bosses agree with what he said. It's no more complicated than that. The old NBC, HBO cabal. They're interchangeable. They go back and forth, people that work there, and it's just, you know, he said what the bosses there agree with, so it wasn't any problem. But I don't blame Bob Costas. I blame the microphone. I blame the microphone. If that microphone hadn't been on, nobody would know what Costas said. If you stop and think about it, it's the microphone's fault. Costas, he's up there. He's in the broadcast booth at halftime. That's where I've been in that booth. I have had several visits to the NBC Sunday night telecast. And Bob comes in at halftime, and he does the halftime show from the booth about 10 feet to the left of where Al Michaels and Collinsworth are. In fact, where Costas, well, maybe I shouldn't say this. Right, I've already blown it. I'll never be invited back. Now, where Costas does the halftime shows, where Catherine and I usually watch when we're guests there. So we vacate with 2 or 3, maybe 4 minutes left in the second quarter, and Bob moves in to get ready for the halftime show. That's where he does it. But if nobody would have turned on his microphone, nobody would have known what he said. So whose fault is it really? Is it Bob's, or is it the microphone's? Because it's a tough call. It's a tough call, just like Snerdley, he totally understands where I'm going with it. If Bob Costas' microphone hadn't been on, there would not be a problem today, at least for Bob. You know, NBC might now want to think about getting rid of microphones. I mean, look at the damage. Look at the NBC, some people say that this kind of controversy is enjoyed by media companies. That any controversy is good. But I'm not so sure. But this is not the first time a microphone has caused pain, suffering, damage. Look at all the previous occasions. I'm sure you can think of some yourselves. Reverend Jackson. Look at Reverend Jackson on a Fox News microphone that was accidentally left on. Reverend Jackson had no idea, talking when he wanted to denut Obama. If the Fox News microphones had not been on, nobody would have heard the Reverend Jackson say that. So it wasn't Reverend Jackson's fault. It's just what happened to Bob Costas, and not his fault. Microphone was on. It is no more complicated than that. I think what this incident shows is that we might want to seriously think about permits for microphone usage. I mean, look at the microphone can cause serious pain. A microphone can inflict amazing damage, particularly emotional and psychological damage, and only highly trained specialists should be permitted, and there should be a federal agency on this, Snerdley, well, yes, I know we've got the First Amendment, but look, the founders never intended for microphones. They didn't even know about microphones. Do you think the founders had ever heard of a microphone when they wrote the First Amendment? They had no idea. You think they ever heard of PA systems? You think they heard of television and radio? They didn't. They never intended any of this. And so I think going forward, we need to seriously look at, I don't want to be so cliched as to say microphone control, but it's clear, it is undeniable, if Bob's microphone hadn't been on, there would not be a controversy today. Maybe if Bob had put a condom on his microphone, there might have been some protection for the words uttered. We don't know. But we do know this, that if that microphone had not been turned on, there would not be hurt feelings or anger or a controversy about this at all in America today. And therefore, no, Snerdley, I'm not worried about me. I have demonstrated over the years extraordinary responsibility behind a microphone. I mean, I am the only person with an actual gold microphone. You can't get any greater microphone permission or honor than that. Golden EIB microphone right there. You have two of them. One stays here at all times and one travels. Whenever we do broadcasts from a remote location. But I think we all need just a cooling off period before anybody actually gets to say anything using a microphone. Maybe waiting period. Yes, there's absolutely a waiting period. You apply for your permit to use a microphone, and then there's a waiting period, and you are monitored, and your background's investigated. You look into what kind of nefarious stuff you've done in your life. See whether you warrant microphone permission, and it shouldn't conflict with the First Amendment at all. The founders never intended any of this. They had no clue. They'd never heard of microphones when the First Amendment was written.